Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. My name is Sam Battlefields, and I am your host on my journey through the constraints-led approach for BJJ. Today I am going to do a couple of things. One is let you know that I am going to be on Kabir Bath's podcast later on this week. I'm not sure when he will release it, but I'm pretty sure that he has some better editing skills than I do, and so therefore he won't just be putting the raw file up. But I am super keen to have a chat with Kabir. He's probably one of the bigger names in the space, in the BJJ sort of grappling space, making sort of content for everyone out there. So I'm sure I would say 99.9% of my followers are aware of Kabir. So yeah, I'm really super excited, but also honoured that he's asked me to be on his podcast. I've also been reading a bit. So as everyone on this channel who's been following it would know, I'm a huge proponent of the zone and flow states through CLA. And it's as I was doing a bit of research I noticed that Professor Keith Davids, who he is the co-author of the constraints-led approach and dynamics of skill acquisition, the ecological. I don't know, the ecological approach to anyway, it's downstairs, been, as you know, going through that as well, but Professor Keith Davids, he did a journalistic paper on ecological approach in MMA, and while I was doing a bit of research on that, I actually uncovered a, where is it, no, that's not it, I actually uncovered a, something really cool, which was, literally, here it is, so if I get this, oh, I'll do this, okay, oh no, so I thought this was really cool. Hang on, let me shorten myself. Alright, so this is, and it is, why isn't flow flowing? Meta-theoretical issues in explanations of flow. And from what I can tell, this is all the stuff I've spoken about. Chick Sent Me High, Stephen Kotler, The Rise of Superman, all these things, they all have like a, I'm about halfway through the paper, right? And I'm just reading so much at the moment again. But it's so cool to see that this was released in March 2024, and it was December 21st that I sent through, or that I received a reply from Professor Ian Renshaw saying that they hadn't really put much work into flow states, but that it made sense. Like, I can't remember what his actual, where is it? Where is it? Here we go. His actual statement was, let's see. Flow states is not something that we have yet looked at in relation to using CLA, but given the principles of self-organisation and the importance of subconscious control in the approach, your thoughts make perfect sense. So that's, I mean, I felt, I felt definitely, a sense of affirmation there when Professor Renshaw said that, and then obviously when Professor Davids is writing a paper, or co-authoring a paper on this. He's not the only author, but yeah, it is super cool. So really exciting. I'm going to be doing. I'll obviously read this. I've actually got in touch, I've emailed, and I'm hoping to get some sort of correspondence going at least. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that is something that is on the horizon. One of the reasons why, obviously, it is public holidays, all that sort of thing. But I wanted to do a quick recap. So on Saturday morning, so obviously it is. It's Easter at the moment, so we had like an open mat on Friday morning. That was really cool. We did an 8 a.m. open mat, which allowed everyone obviously to be able to spend their Easter weekend with their family, etc. I actually went in today, so it's Easter Monday today. I went in today at 10 a.m. opened up, no one rocked up, which makes kind of sense. But Friday's a friend of mine who's been training at a very well-known school, or sorry, it's well known for its for a number of reasons, but one of the main reasons why it's well known is that it is a very high caliber of training, and I got to roll with him. He was like maybe a 3 or 4 strike round, but he's been a brown belt for several years, and I felt like I held my own, so I was pretty happy with that. Lots of flowing, even though I mean he had some wicked controls, but I just felt like I was stoked with how I went, especially considering sometimes the ego might also get in the way. There's that thing that happens where it's like, oh, I haven't rolled with this guy for ages, and he's got a higher rank than me, and blah blah. I didn't really feel that, which was awesome. It was more like, all right, where am I? Like, where am I in this little experiment? So that was cool. And then Saturday morning we had the 7:45 Saturday class, which one of the black belts from my old gym actually looks after. And this particular class is like a few months ago we introduced Chris to the ecological dynamics approach. He was just almost immediately like, yeah, actually that makes sense. And I don't know what he's been doing in the background, but I know that he is all in, and he's kind of been developing this all in approach, independent of me. I mean, like I've been giving like 4 to 5 minute quick chats after his lesson that I haven't even been a part of. So I'm just rocking up with my son for the kids classes on Saturday morning, and he's finishing up this class. So it's less about you could do this, or you could do that. And it's more about like, how are you experiencing, how are you enjoying it? You're finding that you're getting a lot out of it. What are you getting out of it? Like, that kind of stuff. Maybe a little bit of like, oh, what do you do here and that sort of thing. But it's more, particularly considering that Chris has been a black belt for several years now. So me trying to say to him, you should structure it this way. I'm like, no, I want him to go away and, I'll provide the resources that I've been provided. So I'll provide those resources, but I want to see what his interpretation is, and then when he brings that interpretation back, or like when he goes away with the resources, structures his knowledge around those resources and then brings them back into class, and then I get the opportunity, like I did on Saturday, which was the first time in a long time, but the first time since he's been implementing this, I got the opportunity to experience a class within my own club that was independently developed through the ecological dynamics approach, which was really cool. Like, it really was. So we started out. Let me just. How did we start out? We started out with. So we started out with basically seated or supine guard, and you just had to keep your legs in between them and you. The next one was the person on top was looking to pass the knees, while the person on the bottom was just looking to make connections. So I can't really remember what, but the connections were. Any connections. It was similar to the games that I played, in that it was just trying to make connections while stopping them from getting around to pass the guard. And then the third game was like the person wants chest to chest, and the person on the bottom had to connect to do a sweep. Right? Now, I'll get back to the sweep, but all of these were timed, so that it was like there was 1, 2, 3, 4. There was 4 of us, so it was timed for a minute round. So they were very, very intense right from the outset, which was very interesting for me. It was kind of the first time where I've been checking the time, particularly at the start, because there's no kind of soft warm into it. It was just like, all right, we're hitting up with an active guard, and an active guard is it's a tiring thing. You're engaging your entire body, you're engaging your core, you're reaching out for things. Your legs are engaged. Your entire body is engaged when it's essentially an open guard. So right from the outset, it was like full on. I like the insights chat that we had later on. I can't remember where it was in between, but there was he sat down for some insights chats, and I think the first one I got a little bit too clinical, as in I was like, and I started just referring almost like the Greg Souders thing. I connected to a limb in order to control the hips, in order to then be able to make the sweep. And Chris quite rightly sort of said, yes, but was there anything that you personally got out of it? And it was like, far out, I've been thinking in these real clinical terms on it so much, because that's how I've been. My language with myself has been. It's just been like real clinical, because the clinical language doesn't require much. What's the word? Doesn't require kind of an intermediary language. I don't know how to explain it, but just by saying I need to make a connection to then control as close to the power center, and that makes sense to me now. Like, it doesn't matter how I do it, what pathway I take, because as long as I'm able to jump to another path, if one path gets shut down, then the outcome is my goal. I don't care about the technique. And anyway, I'll come back to this. The third game was the person wants chest to chest from the top, so they actually want to now fully pass into side control, a mount or something else, and that's side control mount or north south, right? So anything chest to chest essentially. Person on the bottom, the only thing that they couldn't do was roll out to turtle, and I liked what Chris said to me. He's like, the main reason why I wanted to put that constraint in was because I always go into turtle, and I want to work out something from that. And I was like, that's exactly how I operate my classes, So we had, as I said, I had to think a little bit more personally about my, being that I was back to the student sort of side of things, and so looking at it, this is an interesting one, because I'm, even when I'm a coach, I'm still a student on it, but I'm kind of directing my own practice. Whereas when someone else is directing the practice, I tended to sit back on my academic side language rather than look at where my weaknesses were and why I wasn't maybe going for them. I'll leave that thought there. I've been chewing on it for a bit. I started to do a video a couple of days ago. But it was interesting as well, seeing the mixture of language that Chris was putting involved as well. Anyway, he then moved on, so we were pretty warmed up by that stage, and so he shifted the game to single ashi, and the only task, and I actually like this, because when we were doing our escape of the single ashi, so it was single ashi, and the goal for the person attacking was just to hold you there, and the goal for the person on the bottom was to stand up on that leg. Okay. Now, this was something that I had said as part of one of the escapes. One was to get your knee below the thigh line, one was to get your knee out of the knee line, and the other one was to put weight through that foot that's getting attacked, like in a stand-up situation. And I never got to that stand-up, because I was like, I don't know how to do it. So the constraint on this one actually forced me to work out a way to do it, and eventually I did. Now, is it something I would use? Maybe not. Is it something that someone who maybe can get up a bit quicker, has a bit more length or a bit less length? Not sure. But I now know how to do it. I also know that there are some inherent risks involved. However, being able to have that in my arsenal is now going to benefit me, which is great. So, I think the main thing I got out of this was the time constraints. Going straight into guard was very intense. It was very intense. I think I like my structure, and so I've got a video coming out tomorrow, it'll be basically giving you the reason why I like my structure. But I'm not saying that's a be all and end all structure. It's just the reasons why I like my structure. But yeah, I think I really like the class. I really like that I was going against 2 black belts and a blue belt, different body types, all that kind of thing. I ended up leaving a bit before open mat. My shoulder has been giving me a lot of grief, and it was really, really bad that day and actually the next day. But it has started to come good, so I've just found my rehab band, and after this video or the next, I'm going to go and give myself a little bit of a rehab session. Look, guys, if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, I'm pretty sure most of you are, but like, comment, and subscribe if you want. Obviously, if you don't. But if you do have questions, particularly as I've got, as I'm hoping to be talking to a range of people on this, I'll hopefully even talk to Chris and be able to put something up online, talking about his class here. So that'd be awesome as well. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I am Sam Battlefields, and this is my journey through the constraints-led approach. Cheers.